We're living longer lives, but with more years in poor health than at any point in history. How can we change this? And what are the pharma industry's responsibilities and opportunities? These questions and many more will we, MSD, try to answer together with people of different perspectives. By creating a space for dialogue, we hope to promote diversity of opinions and provide food for thoughts. We call it Voices of Pharma.
Welcome to Voices of Pharma. My name is Erasmus Holm from MSD. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you. I wasn't sure I was supposed to say that. Sorry, I wasn't expecting you to turn to me.
Welcome to Voices of Pharma. My name is Erasmus Holm from MSD. Today we're talking about digital transformation in pharma. And to help me with that, we have Paul Sims.
Hi, Erasmus. Absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. My name's Paul Sims. I run a company called Impatient Health, where our ambition is to make our industry more ambitious and creative.
Today we're going to talk about digital transformation. So I'm going to start by the first question. What do you think digital transformation is?
Digital transformation is something that is absolutely vital to our industry. At the same time, it should be absolutely normal in the grand proceedings of things. It's not as if the world is anything but digital today. It's not as if this is not a well-adopted channel in the world. And I think that we need to see digital transformation as part of a bigger evolution in our industry and our companies. One that takes our DNA from being companies that have an absolute evolutionary fitness for drug discovery and development into companies that have an evolutionary fitness for serving the patient. And of course, we can see the behavior of consumers, particularly from the pandemic, has shifted digitally. So if we are not running our operations, if we are not at heart digital companies, then I think that we at heart are not relevant to the consumer and the patient at the end of the day. So I don't see digital transformation as some kind of strategic imperative. I see it as even bigger than that. I see it very much as absolutely fundamental to our existence, our purpose as an industry, as a young industry that frankly has so much potential unfulfilled that we are a small part of the journey to actually providing better healthcare. And we are not mature at all. We have so far to go and so much more to expand on. And this is just really the first step of 1,000 miles.
So Paul, for the pharma industry, how does digital transformation actually look like?
Well, in the beginning, Erasmus, I think that it is well understood that and this was particularly apparent during the pandemic, is simply moving from an offline to an online world and finding new ways of doing things. But if you actually look at how the technology industries have evolved generally, the companies that dominate today, it's actually hard to imagine kind of the offline version of them. Can you imagine Uber offline? Can you imagine TikTok offline? Not really. So what you actually see here is the people who've created this next generation of companies. They may have started with the simple, offline to online, but ultimately we got to a threshold where new ways of working became possible. Enough people were now digitally savvy to make these new business models work. And I believe that the point at which we can say digital transformation is a success or has been completed is actually not that we've managed to save costs, drive efficiency, improve timing on various different things, which of course is the immediate desire, but it's actually when we have a different way of doing things. It's actually when we have different business models that you could never go backwards one step and go into the offline version of. That's where you create kind of platform models with people working in a much more efficient way and taking advantage, I think, of what the word digital actually brings to the world, which is the ability to replicate and find new ways of interfacing between two groups that otherwise would have had a very ineffective and inefficient way of working before.
But do you think pharma can do that fast enough? Now Amazon have acquired healthcare solutions. Even TikTok have acquired healthcare solutions recently. So do you think pharma can do that fast enough? How will they do that?
Pharma companies are going to find it very difficult to do it fast enough on their own. It's in their DNA to have 10-year product development life cycles, and actually I've spoken about how our digital programs actually need to fit in with those kind of cycles. The truth is that, like any species on Earth, the only way to change its DNA is basically through sex or some other kind of mating or mutation, whereby different DNA can actually be acquired. So pharma isn't suddenly going to be able to turn on a switch overnight and change what it is and change what it does. And yes, we see examples of incubators and innovation labs in a way to try and separate that from the mothership and to have those faster cycles. But the truth is that in order to be able to keep up with the consumer world, I think it's going to have to be done through partnership. We don't have to see Amazon as a giant threat, and Amazon doesn't have to see Big Pharma as a giant threat either. The two are probably not going to occupy the exact same zones. Amazon obviously comes from a consumer-facing business and very much owns the customer. What pharma needs to do is to make sure it doesn't just become a mere supplier to that kind of business. And that's the danger, I think. So I think that the stronger the partnership and the understanding between these organizations is right now, the better. That doesn't mean you need to put out a new press release saying you've got a whizzy new partnership with Microsoft AI departments, but what it does mean on the ground is that you actually need to fundamentally understand. And by the way, companies like Amazon want to understand the world of that pharma inhabits as well. So there's absolutely no reason why a greater facilitation of that can't be possible.
Do you think that many pharma companies view digital transformation as the same as innovation?
I think that many companies find anything new to fit into sort of a category of somewhat alien and somewhat scary and somewhat fearful, but also sort of shiny objects. The truth is that we shouldn't really class digital innovation in a separate bucket all on its own, and that innovation in general should be something that the whole organization is good at. I often talk about us becoming more scientific across all layers of our organization, not just those who we traditionally call scientists in R&D. And what is absolutely clear is that if we take innovation and we take the same scientific mindset outside of the traditional R&D departments, then we're going to have a lot more success. I think that our leaders are a little bit guilty of acting like Julius Caesar. They hold their thumbs up and they give us a yay or a nay to a certain project based on their experience, based on what they've seen gone before. Really what our leaders should be doing is what good scientists would do and never make assumptions. That is to get ideas, sometimes ideas, seemingly stupid ideas, out to the market as quickly as possible, because you never know anymore what will work. We live in such an uncertain age that it's hard for us to know what it will actually be successful unless we give it market exposure. So the more that there's that scientific innovation mindset of being willing to experiment, being willing to try, being willing to give things exposure and to put them into real life tests, then I think we are going to have more success as an organization across the board.
So Paul, where do you see the industry around digital transformation in 5 to 10 years?
I think that within 5 to 10 years, we will see a significant difference, actually. I'm quite optimistic about how we will have got a much greater integration of digital products and non-digital products. I think we will have a much wider definition of what the pharma industry's value actually is, i.e. it will move beyond just a medicine. And I hope to see that we've had some uncommon bedfellows emerge, some DNA swapping and sharing that happens when one company acquires or forms a strong partnership with another. I think that we're unlikely to see big pharma and big tech necessarily merge, but I do think that smaller pharma and smaller tech could do some interesting work there to acquire new DNA and to provide new customer value propositions.